Welcome back to Court TV Live on this Friday, along with Julia Janae. I'm Ted Rowland. So glad to have you along with us. A busy day, or it's been a busy week. We're going to talk more about what's going on in Utah, the arrest of Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old, in just a bit for the murder of Charlie Kirk. But right now, we're heading back to Oregon.
Yeah, that's right. We're in this trial that we're calling the unspent bullet murder case. The defendant is accused of killing his girlfriend, Mariah King. This all happened last year, and authorities initially believed that King had died by suicide. But the case took this bizarre turn after the medical examiner who performed the autopsy found there was this unspent bullet in the victim's stomach.
We've been playing a recent bond hearing where the bombshell information was revealed. Let's go back in. There's a medical death investigator on the stand, and he is talking in graphic detail about King's injuries to her hands and her arms. Take a listen.
So this is just a picture of her mouth. Sometimes when we see injuries to the inside of the mouth, to the gums, so I always document the inside of the mouth.
Was there any petechiae there?
There were some small amounts of petechial hemorrhage in her lower lip.
And what is petechial hemorrhaging?
Petechial hemorrhaging are pinpoint blood vessels that are exploding, for lack of a better term. Usually those are found in the eye or the surrounding facial tissue, but sometimes we find that in the mouth as well.
Okay.
This one is of her left eye. There's some small petechial hemorrhaging in her eye in this picture. I think that's it. And then surrounding her eye. Again, petechial hemorrhaging in the right eye in this picture, and then you can also see the petechial hemorrhaging surrounding the eye.
What are the dark spots on her eye?
Oh, sorry. So the dark spots here, this looks to be what we would call tache noire. So it's a French term for black spot. That happens when the eye is exposed to air for any length of time. Usually that starts in about an hour after death, if the eye is exposed to air. So this photo is just of the left side of the neck, where the ligature furrow is essentially absent.
So the petechial hemorrhaging that you observed and took photos of, is that common in suicidal hangings?
Not usually, no. So again, this is just a photograph of the ligature furrow on the right side of the neck with the scale. Again, another photo of the ligature furrow. This is, I'm not entirely sure which arm this is. I believe this is the left arm. These are small lacerations from self-harm or cutting, often seen, often confused with suicidal ideation, where these are usually more of a cry for help, not indication of suicidal ideation. This is a picture of her hand, again with the abrasions to the back of her hand. This one is of her right arm and some bruising that was noted to that arm. Again, this was the same arm of that bruise. It just doesn't have a scale with it. And this is just of her right arm.
Shows a little bit clearer of a picture of some of the bruising? Or?
Yeah, the bruising is kind of on the back of that arm. Yeah. Again, this is a clear picture. You can see the petechial hemorrhages in the right eye here, as well as the what could potentially be the tache noir or the drying artifact to her right eye. Again, this is also, a more clear picture of the petechial hemorrhaging in the left eye. Again, this is another one of the bruising on her right arm. This is the kind of an overview shot of the scene itself here in this shop area. Again, you can see her upper half bodies under this coiled rope. One thing to note, I suppose, in this here as well, there's a pair of shears that are laying on top of this bight of rope here.
And the noose is where?
So the noose, at this time, in this photograph, it goes up through the ceiling into the carabiner up here, back down. And when I got there, it was attached to her, I think it was her left foot. Excuse me, right foot. After the autopsy, he called me again and we talked. There was also an injury to the back of her head, which I had not noticed at the scene. When I do a physical exam, especially in somebody with long, thick hair, I palpate the head to look for any crepitus or injuries sustained, or if there's any kind of blood in the hair. When I did that exam at the scene, my gloves came out dry. So, what's that?
Your results came what?
So when I palpated her head at the scene and I pulled my gloves out, they were dry. So there was no blood on my gloves at that time. But this is a picture of that injury.
Was there any blood in the area where her head was on the ground?
There was not. There was no blood on the ground there, or any that I found or saw anywhere in that vicinity underneath her.
Is this a close-up of the...
Yeah, sorry, that's a close-up of that injury to the posterior portion of her skull. These are more abrasions to her left knuckles. This is more bruising and an abrasion to, I'm not entirely sure where, sorry. This is another abrasion to one of the areas of her body. This is a picture of her underwear that were removed at autopsy. What appears to be a significant amount of blood, really, especially on clothing. Small amounts of blood look much larger, and there really doesn't even appear to be a large amount of blood here, but that's a picture of that. This is a photograph of the Lodox image or the X-ray image that was done prior to autopsy, and in this you can see in the lower portion of her body, or in the abdomen, you can see the cartridge present. And this is a lateral view of that same X-ray.
Sir.
This is a lateral view of that same X-ray, and here, just to the right, you can see that firearm cartridge there. And this is a picture of the actual projectile that was recovered during autopsy, which is an unfired .308 round.
And in speaking to Dr. Hurst, did you speak with him about this cartridge that was located in her abdomen?
I did. So he indicated that This casing was not only entered through the vaginal wall into the abdominal cavity, but it was, again, unfired and most likely placed post-mortem.
And what does that mean?
So after death. So the reason he believed that was there was a small or very insignificant amount of blood, both in her underwear, which you would expect if you were still pumping blood, as well as there was no blood in her jeans. So there was no blood or blood transfer in her jeans. And I didn't notice it from the outside, as well as when he did the autopsy, he said there was not a lot of free blood in the abdomen or the vaginal area.
All right, let's get a commercial break, and then we'll head back to Oregon. Plus, we will update you on the latest on the arrest of the suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk out in Utah. Our Matt Johnson is going to join us later this hour with that. Stay with us.
8.5 months pregnant, a young mother found brutally murdered.
To lose a child, there's no words for it.
Now the victim's boyfriend, a married father of 4, is
charged for the murder of his alleged mistress and her unborn child.
That's one of the things that struck me. He was not remorseful.
From the first gavel to the final verdict, Court TV takes you inside the South Florida courtroom
for this tragic death penalty case.
The pregnant mistress murder trial. Live coverage Monday morning, only on Court TV.
Let's head back to Oregon. It's a bond hearing. Normally we don't cover bond hearings, but this case is so bizarre. And in this bond hearing, there was some dynamic information that was released for the very first time. And the question that they're trying to answer is, did Jerod Norman kill his girlfriend or not?
This bond hearing really changed everything in terms of the information that the public got about it. And it's what prosecutors say happened to Mariah King that is different. They thought this was a hanging, someone who took their own life, but after the medical examiner's report and investigation into this, they found some things that were unusual. Let's go back into the hearing. We're going to listen to more of this hearing for Jerod Norman. This is unaired testimony from the death investigator.
I don't like to participate, but I'm not understanding your answer. Did he find the I don't know if trajectory is the right word. Did he find the path that he traveled from the vaginal area to the abdomen?
He did, and I don't know if we have.
Indicating there was not a lot of blood.
Yeah, so the bullet went through the vaginal wall, and I don't know if we have those photographs.
I did not purposely.
Okay.
Do those things.
So there is a photograph that goes through the vaginal wall into the abdominal cavity.
But in this photograph, it's outside the stomach. It wasn't ingested this way.
That's correct. No, this is in the abdominal cavity, not the intestines or the stomach. It went through the vaginal wall into the free space in the abdomen.
Is the vagina on a woman highly vascularized?
It is. So, you know, anytime you puncture that, there would be not only significant pain, but it would be significant bleeding.
And based on your training and experience in your years, you know, working in hospitals and whatnot, would that have been a painful experience for a woman if she did it to herself?
Absolutely.
After leaving the scene, why did you ask for Ms. King to have an autopsy?
My findings at the scene were not, in my training experience, consistent with that of what I have seen as far as hanging asphyxiations. Due to that and my concerns, both of the scene itself and of her, I had suspicious questions, and for that I asked the state for an autopsy.
And was there some concerns with Dr. Hurst about some of the things he was seeing as well?
Yeah, he was concerned, obviously, by the unfired cartridge that was in her, the free space of her abdomen, as well as the fact that it appeared like this was done post-mortem.
And so based on what you observed with the rope and the ligature and what you observed with the injuries to Ms. King's neck and what was found later, would you have classified this as a suicide?
I would not have. And I made that very clear to law enforcement on scene that this, and by no means did I believe this was suicide.
And Dr. Hurst, what did he put as a manner of death? His cause and manner of death, he listed as asphyxiation by ligature hanging with a manner of undetermined. What does that mean?
So it means essentially that he believes that she died of some sort of asphyxiation. He believes it was by a ligature hanging, but the manner of death in this case, he didn't have enough information at the time, or he didn't feel like he could sign it out anything but undetermined.
And is that on her death certificate as far as you know?
It is.
I have no further questions.
Dr. Hurst, the medical examiner, classified cause of death as ligature hanging.
No.
Do you have his report in front of you?
I do. The cause of death is asphyxia by ligature hanging.
Thank you for the clarification. Manner of death, undetermined, right?
That's correct.
You just testified I would not classify this as a suicide, right?
That's correct.
Are you permitted by law to opine or certify cause and manner of death?
I am not.
As a medical legal death investigator, right?
Correct.
Are you a medical examiner?
I am not.
There's a big difference between you and a medical examiner, right?
There is.
All right. That will take us to your qualifications. Do you hold a college degree?
I do not.
Do you hold a medical degree from an accredited university of any type?
I do not.
Do you hold a law enforcement certificate?
I do not.
So if somebody were to casually refer to you as the medical examiner, that would be totally inaccurate, right?
By current statute, that would be correct.
By the way the law is currently written, that would be correct?
That would be correct.
Do you have specific training in forensic pathology?
I do not.
All right. You taught some, and again, I was handed your CV walking in here, so I haven't had a lot of time to spend with it, but you alluded to some training that you have about staged homicides.
That's correct.
Where was that training? When was it? Give me all the details you can.
So I work with a group of experts from around the country where we review cases for evidence of staged deaths.
Is that this missed and misdiagnosed homicide multidisciplinary working group I see on your CV?
That is correct.
So what does that exist under? Is that part of some government agency or what?
No, it's a group of medical and forensic experts.
So just people who talk about things together?
Yeah, we review cases. We review cases for abnormalities or red flags and review those.
Who is it supervised by?
It's supervised by Andrea Zafaris.
Who?
Andrea Zafaris.
That's a person?
That is.
Okay.
Yep. She is also a medical legal death expert, or medical legal death investigator, and forensic and asphyxiation expert.
Is she a licensed doctor?
She is not.
Okay. So that's the group you sit with, this national group you've referenced, but my question actually to begin us on this topic was about your training. Where did you get training on staged homicides?
Through the training through the state, as well as conferences that I've attended, both through Oregon and around the country.
Okay, so we've all been to professional conferences where you kind of go to different talks and topics. So you went to a talk or two at some different trainings about staged homicides?
That's correct.
And then you mentioned the state certification, which I think you outlined in your original testimony as being a 40-hour class and then a year of on-the-job training.
That's correct.
How many of those 40 hours were dedicated to staged homicide determinations?
Maybe an hour and a half.
Okay. Is there some other large piece of training in staged homicides that we have not covered that you possess?
Nope, just training and experience.
Okay, the defense attorney going after the credentials of this individual who has a lot to say. I don't know how you're going to really argue his credentials when you're talking about facts in terms of the x-rays, the fact of where that bullet was.
Corroborated by the medical examiner, Dr. Hurst.
Yeah. Let's bring in our guest to give us a little insight here from Denver, Colorado, criminal defense attorney Colleen Kelly. This is a weird case. Colleen, family thought it was suicide. She was suicidal. The person at the weed store, even reported it, saying this woman is suicidal. They find her dead. What's your overall take, and what stands out?
Well, that is my overall take, that this is a very strange case. And initially, the judge asked the question that I've been asking, right? That clarification that there's a bullet inside her abdominal cavity, and how that got there. It wasn't swallowed. It was, they're inserted after death. But certainly this is the expert that they've brought forward to say this was definitely not a suicide. And so the defense attorney obviously has to attack his credentials and to show that he's not necessarily qualified to make that determination about whether this was a suicide, whether this was a homicide, whether this was an accident or natural causes. But certainly his observations have to be respected. He is trained in that regard.
Certainly, and let's talk about the fact that we're not in a trial. We're not with a jury with beyond a reasonable doubt. This is a bond hearing. What are the different levels when we have this in front of a judge trying to get an idea of how to move forward with this case?
Right, and I think I heard you comment earlier that you don't generally cover bond hearings. It's because they're frankly generally boring. They address whether the person is a flight risk and whether they're a danger to the community. Now, this is a different case because it's a homicide case. What they're doing here is they are having basically a mini trial to see if there is proof evident presumption great. That's the standard in Colorado, and I think it's the same standard in Oregon, where they are trying to argue that this person that he should be denied bond because the evidence is so great against him. So that's why they're going into these details about the manner of death, the circumstances surrounding finding the body, and then connecting it to the defendant.
Absolutely.
And the part of the equation, I'm sure, for the judge is also the significant manner of the evidence in terms of the depravity, possibly, and the bullet. If the judge was questioning this expert, because to your point, as soon as he asked the question, I was thinking, yes, thank you.
Yeah, he seemed to be hung up on it. He was shaking his head even after getting the answer.
So now the odds of the judge, who we watched him in real time, absorb the information, shake his head, and realize, oh, God, I don't think this guy's getting out on bond.
Yeah, probably at this point.
What do you think?
Well, those are the reasons why a judge would deny bond. And remember, the right to bond out, the right to bail, is generally thought of as a constitutional right because you're presumed innocent until proven guilty. So that's why they have this different type of bond hearing in these circumstances. And if the judge finds that there is proof and a greater presumption that he did commit these crimes, then you can see why a judge would deny letting this person out on the street. Because if you are someone who would do something like this, regardless of the presumption of innocence, the judge is going to presume that he's a danger to the community.